A phone sits at 1%. 2 minutes after plugging in, it reads 15. Before the coffee is done, it has blazed past 60. Then something strange happens. The number stalls at 80. 81 appears 10 minutes later. Most people assume the charger is broken or the battery is dying. Both assumptions are wrong. That crawl from 80 to 100 is the single most intelligent decision a phone makes all day, and ignoring it costs about $800 every 2 years. That slowdown is not a malfunction. It is engineering so deliberate it borders on biology. The phone is not struggling to charge. It is fighting to survive, and the war happens inside a sealed metal cylinder smaller than your thumb. Picture a parking lot at midnight. When it is empty, cars fly in and find a space instantly. That is a battery from 0 to 50%, lithium-ion sliding into empty slots without resistance. As the lot fills past 70%, then 80, the cars have to circle. They hunt for a spot. At the atomic level, the battery is stuck in traffic. But the parking problem is only the surface. Underneath it, a far more violent negotiation is taking place. For the first 80% of a charge, the charger runs in what engineers call constant current mode. A steady flood of electrons pushed across the electrolyte, and the battery voltage climbs without complaint. The moment a cell reaches 4.2 volts, the rules change. The charger cuts the current and switches to constant voltage mode, holding that voltage steady while the current is forced to decay on its own. Think of topping off a glass of water to the very brim without breaking the surface tension, one drop at a time. Speed at this stage does not charge a battery faster. Speed at this stage builds a bomb. There is an old myth from batteries phones do not even use anymore. Decades ago, nickel-cadmium batteries suffered from memory effect, where a battery would remember a shallow charge as its new empty. Lithium-ion batteries have no such memory. The habit lingers anyway, and millions still run their phones down to 0, a ritual that works against the very chemistry meant to protect them. The bomb the charger is diffusing is not a metaphor. Engineers at Argonne National Laboratory photographed what happens when a lithium-ion cell is forced past its comfort zone. Metallic lithium starts sprouting off the graphite anode like tiny crystal needles. Scientists call these dendrites, and each one is a dead short circuit waiting to happen. The battery is not malfunctioning. It is manufacturing its own future failure, one needle at a time. This process is called lithium plating, and once it happens, it cannot be undone. Unlike healthy charging, where ions slip neatly between layers of graphite, plating hardens lithium into a dead metallic shell. That surface can never store energy again. The phone's maximum capacity dropped, permanently, without anyone noticing. A second, quieter killer grows alongside the first. It is called the solid electrolyte interface, the SEI layer, and it forms on every lithium-ion battery the very first time it is charged. In small amounts, this layer protects the anode from corroding. But above 4 volts per cell, that protective layer turns against itself. It thickens uncontrollably, trapping lithium inside chemical sludge. Researchers publishing in the Journal of Power Sources measured the cost. Cells charged from 0 to 100% lost over 20% capacity after 500 cycles. Cells kept between 20 and 80% retained more than 90% capacity after the same 500 cycles. Same electrons. The only difference was voltage range. The top 20% of every charge is where more than 90% of the damage happens. Something has to stand guard against this, and it does, every second. It is called the battery management system, a microchip smaller than a fingernail running thousands of calculations per second. It watches voltage, it watches current, it watches temperature with something close to paranoia. The instant a cell creeps above 4.2 volts, it slams the brakes. If temperature spikes, it forces a shutdown, standing between your pocket and thermal runaway, where heat feeds heat, until the loop ends in fire. But the true enemy was never speed. The true enemy is heat. A fast charger on a cold battery at 20% is safe. That same charger on a battery hot from gaming, sitting at 85%, is chemical torture. Heat and high voltage do not add up. They multiply. Once a cell crosses 40 degrees Celsius under that stress, the damage becomes permanent. There is a business model built on top of all this chemistry. A replacement battery costs $70 to $100. That is not where the real money sits. The real money sits in the new phone purchased once the old one has degraded enough to trigger an upgrade, and manufacturers have little incentive to teach the habit that prevents that. Most phones already know this, and they have been quietly protecting without asking permission. Apple calls it optimized battery charging. Google calls it adaptive charging. Samsung calls it battery protection. 3 names for the exact same idea. The system learns what time the alarm goes off. It holds the charge near 80 through the night, then finishes that final stretch to 100 in the minutes before wake-up. Nothing has to be done for this to work. It is already happening, most likely tonight. Engineers at Battery University tested the difference. A cell cycled between 25 and 85% lasts about 4 times longer than one cycled from 0 to 100. That means trading 20% of one day's runtime buys 4 times the total lifespan. It costs nothing but a habit, and the habit itself is worth about $6. Picture 2 identical phones, 2 years old. One spent its life between 20 and 80%. Cool to the touch. Battery drops in a smooth line. Its twin lived at 100% every night on a wireless charger. It feels warm sitting idle, capacity bleeding away for months. None of this means batteries need babying. On a long flight with no outlet, charging to 100 is not the enemy. It is simply not something a battery needs every single night. Stop thinking of batteries as gas tanks. They behave more like lungs, expanding and contracting within a comfort zone, and forcing them to hold their breath at 100% for hours is what wears them down. Phones do not trickle charge anymore. The management system stops completely, allows a tiny discharge, then delivers one precise pulse to top it back up, all while the charging icon never changes. A habit worth about $6. Simply unplugging around 80% can be the difference between replacing your phone in 2 years or in 4. That is not a small win. That is quietly outsmarting an industry that was counting on you never finding out.